South Africa has endured the driest December in 15 years. The finding of a new report. Scientists are using special sensing technology to track vegetation growth, and it seems things are going from bad to worse. We go live now to Pretoria. Some background on the study. Dr. Moses Cho is with us. He leads the study at the Centre for Scientific and Industrial Research, the CSIR. Dr. Cho, good evening to you and welcome. So give us some context here. The driest December in 15 years. In other words, we've seen conditions like this before, have we?
Good evening, Jeremy, and thanks for having me. Yeah, indeed, December 2015, according to our analysis, is the driest December on record since 2001.
And the cause for this, Dr. Cho, is it this El Nino effect, or is there more to it, as has been suggested in the past, possibly bad water and bad land management?
Yeah, following some of the analysis that have been done by my colleagues at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, it's actually the current El Nino-induced drought. It's an El Nino-induced drought.
And there's every indication, Dr. Cho, that El Nino is not only set to continue, but perhaps also intensify. Am I correct?
Well, it somehow shows that this year is the strongest. We're going to have the strongest El Nino impact we've had for several years. So this year's El Nino is actually the strongest.
And the consequence, Dr. Cho, of that is going to be what, particularly for those areas that are hard hit right now by the South African drought?
Yeah, the drought is having a serious or severe impact on our agricultural lands and on our water resources. In fact, our analysis from the satellite imagery shows that some areas, certain areas in South Africa, in the Free State, in the Northwest, have endured serious drought. Almost 60 to or above 60% drier than the normal year.
So the sensing technology, then, Dr. Cho, that you're using, how does it work, and what have you discerned from it?
Well, we've used images, freely available images provided by NASA, the American Space Agency. These images are satellite images. They orbit the Earth and collect light, sunlight that bounces off the Earth's surface. And from the measurements, we can develop, indicators, indices that tell us the level of greenness of our landscape. And from that indicator, we can determine areas that are under serious vegetation stress.
Are you able to tell us, again, we're looking at the graph of the NDVI averages from 15 years, which are the provinces not only most affected right now, but going forward, which are likely to be severely impacted?
Well, the current results, because based on the images, we can almost on a real-time monitor the changes in the vegetation. But our current results show that the provinces of the Free State, which is largely covered by grasslands, rangelands, and the Northwest are the most affected. And then you have Limpopo and Mpumalanga. And you have even the Eastern Cape, but the Free State and the Northwest are the most affected provinces.
How much rain, Dr. Cho, do we need in order to reverse the situation, if we can at all?
Well, I wouldn't tell exactly how much rain we need, but we've had quite some good rains in January, and we've started to see a picking up of the vegetation.
But if you were to look ahead a couple of years now, are you able to extrapolate from your data what the short-term future might look like then? Are we set to see more of the same as this El Nino effect intensifies? Well, the El Nino effect
comes up every 3 to 5 or 7 years. And, we still to understand why this year's El Nino it's particularly severe. But based on our satellite imagery, we monitor on a real-time basis, and we don't do projection into the future. We have our climate colleagues who are involved in climate modeling, and they are developing models to try to project what will happen in the future. But projecting to the future is always a challenge. And using satellite imagery and the capabilities we've developed at the CSIR, we can, as I've said, indicated, almost on a real-time basis, monitor the changes that are happening. And we believe this information is very important, particularly, to the relevant department to assist, the affected landscapes and communities.
Well, just a final question then, Dr. Cho. How should the relevant authorities be using and implementing this data?
It's very important that they use this data, because the difference between the products from satellite imagery is that from the image we cover the full extent of the landscape. Every spot on the landscape is covered. As opposed to let's say your weather station data, which are points scattered all over the landscape. So from our products you can know exactly what happens where in the country. Which communities are badly affected, and you can really target your resources so that you minimize, wastage of available resources.
Dr. Moses Cho in Pretoria from the CSIR explaining the science behind the ongoing devastating drought.